welcome to Retro TV Rewind. So today I am joined by the oh so fabulous Mona May. You all know her from the many iconic looks she has created. She was a costume designer for Clueless, as well as Never Been Kissed, Romy and Michelle's high school reunion, and The House Bunny. So thank you so much for joining me today. How are you doing?
I'm great. Happy to be here. Happy to speak to everyone and, talk creatively about costume design and all the fun movies I did. I mean, there was also Enchanted and
Yes.
just, Stuart Little, just the list goes on.
Yes, absolutely. And that dress in Enchanted is a very, very just fantastic, gorgeous piece. I
So
mean,
fun. So
it
fun.
is it
Yeah.
is a
Yeah.
beautiful
It was
piece.
one of those movies as a costume designer you really get to play and design from scratch and, draw everything and make the fabrics. I mean, quite amazing.
It's a great film. I remember, going to see it in the cinema when it came out, and the costumes are just absolutely fantastic. And I mean, Stuart Little. I grew up with Stuart Little, and
I know.
there's I don't think there's anyone who doesn't like that film. It's just fantastic.
Such a challenge because I mean, Stewart was just a 4 inch CGI
Yes.
character, and like he had one of the worst bodies to ever dress. Like, very round body, no neck, big ears, tail, short legs. And I had to make him look human. The director was like, I just want him to look like he went to shop to Gap.
Yes, he looked amazing and just so adorable. I think he has
So,
to be one of the most loved characters in history. He's just precious.
thank you, thank you. It was fun. It was really fun. It was, early days of CG too, and
Hmm.
it was really interesting learning all the computer programs and working with the computer guys and doing virtual fittings because he never existed. He was always in computer.
Yes.
Working with like fabric. Creating fabric in a computer, aging the fabric in a computer,
Mm.
tailoring in the computer. I mean, it was quite interesting process. It was really fun. Now it's so much more advanced, and now with AI, who knows? You just click a button.
Yes. And so when you were creating his looks, did you ever have like a little kind of model you would work off of when
No,
or
there
no, it
was
was
no
all
model. It was all sketches.
computer?
So it was sketches.
Okay, okay.
It was quite expensive process, so it had to be approved by the studio and the director, and many people to
Mm.
sign off, and then it goes into the process of creating it, in CG with the computer guys, with programmers, and
Hmm.
the fabric guys, the painter guys. I mean, there was just so many different layers
Yeah.
um, that yeah, we never made the anything in the real life. I mean, there was a maquette on the set because the actors had to actually you know act to something because there was nothing there, so they were speaking to a little like a stuffed animal, and they later on they brought the character into the film, the CG character.
Okay, I
Yeah.
see. I see. Very interesting. Because when you
Hmm.
watch that film, you don't really, obviously, you don't really think so much about it. But it's a very interesting process, and obviously so different from working with
Yeah,
actual
yeah.
people.
It was so cool. I mean, it was really fun to do that CGI part as well as dress all the actors and making sure that all the colors interacting. Then we had, the bird that he was kind of their relationship, with
Yeah.
Margalo. So that was really cute. And I got to design her scarf and the goggles and the pink glasses, so
Oh,
kind of a little bit of Amelia Earhart look.
yes, yes. Oh gosh, so sweet, so sweet.
Really fun. Yeah.
Well, also, congratulations. You've announced you have a book coming out in
Yes.
October, which is
Yes.
very exciting and perfect timing for the anniversary of Clueless as
Oh my
well.
goodness. I can't believe it's 30 years.
I know, honestly, I mean, the time goes ridiculously fast. 1995 does not sound, it doesn't sound, you wouldn't think it was 30 years ago. It
Yeah.
doesn't
Yeah.
sound or feel like 30 years. It's
Maybe
honestly
20.
crazy.
Maybe 20.
Mm.
But yeah, I mean, it's amazing, the staying power of the film and how many
Hmm.
generations of film goers and fashionistas love the film and how it has inspired so many people. When I talk about the film to students, and so many of them were inspired by the movie to go into the field of fashion, costume design. It's a great reward, for a costume designer to make a mark like that. That kind of transcendence time in a way.
I mean, it's one of the most iconic films ever, and it's known for the fashion. I mean, to this day, so many people are inspired by it and love it and talk about it. I mean, it's just incredible. And so, about the book, why did you decide to write this book?
Well, it's about time. We waited 30 years, I think, for this book. I really wanted to share with fans kind of the behind the scenes, how costume designer
Mhm.
creates the costumes. It's kind of also, going back, interviewing the actors, talking about, what we did on set and what we remembered, and, showing different kind of photos that nobody has seen before. We even found old Polaroids, like a costume continuity Polaroids that actually
Ooh.
exist and are in perfect condition, so that I haven't even seen them in 30 years. So that was super
Oh,
fun.
amazing.
And I think something to, have in your hands, something that really you can open up at any page. It's like a coffee table book,
Mhm.
that you can open up and just anywhere be look at pictures and go, oh my god, I remember that moment, and I love this, and I love this character. The book is designed chronologically, so you kind of open the book on the first day of school, and then you go to meet all the different characters. You meet Ty, the makeover, the boys. There's Christmas party, of course. All the fun stuff about the Alaya dress, all the little insights about the Alaya
Yeah.
dress, and then the movie ends with a wedding, so that's the wedding at the end. And the forward is written by Emmy Heckling, the director, so that was really lovely. I get to speak with Paul Rudd and Alicia Silverstone, and the girl who plays actress who plays Amber, Elisa Donovan, and Donald. I mean, it just was so fun to be like, oh my god, we were such babies. We were all so young doing the film. I mean, Alicia was 18, Brittany Murphy was 17. I mean, it was
Mm.
Paul Rudd's first movie. It was first movie for me, first like a studio film as a designer. um, and having this great director, there's a lot about also Amy throughout the book, how Amy Heckling, the director, kind of guided us, and how she inspired us to be really great artists. Um, so it's very informative. It's really fun. I think it's inspiring, and again, I love that it's a book. So it's something
Yeah.
in your hand. It's not a phone. It's not a computer.
Yeah.
It's not an AI. It's like analog. It's like when the movie was made. We didn't have cell phones. We didn't have computers. So this is kind of the same experience, I think, that you may have.
I love, I love when, you have get to go behind the scenes of films and get to see, I love fashion, and I grew up in a family who was in the fashion industry,
Oh
so I
my
grew up
God.
with that. And I absolutely love it. And I love when people write like these behind the scenes books and you get all these insights. And I agree, it's so nice when you have the book in your hand. It's a very special feeling, I feel, when you get to have it and look through it. There's nothing like having a book. If you have it on your phone, it doesn't have that same effect. When you have a proper book in your hands and you get to look through it, it's just fantastic. And it must have been so much fun as well, just to go back through memory lane and just
So
talk
much
to
fun.
everyone and
So
just
much
relive
fun.
it.
And remembering, how silly we were and kind of young. And, people always ask me, oh, did you know the movie is going to be such a big hit? And, this lasting power that I'll be talking about it 30 years later. No way. We were just having so much fun and, doing our best, under this helm of this really creative and amazing writer director. So I think the why this movie kind of is that great. I think part of it is just this incredible ensemble of people that are involved in it, truly,
Mhm.
and we are just having so much fun, and it shows, I think, on the screen.
The looks are just, every single one is memorable and incredible. And I think everybody wishes, they could, handle those outfits because they're just amazing. I mean, I look at every single one of those outfits and I don't think I could pull them all off, but I know I wish I had that. I wish I had all of those in my closet. And what was your process like for creating these looks? How, I mean, where do you start?
Well, you start with the script, as a
Mhm.
costume designer. So I knew Amy already from another project we did together. So when she wrote Clueless, she really wanted me to do it because my background is fashion. That I studied fashion in Europe and in United States as well, and then got into costume design. So it was like this perfect script for me because it had fashion and costume design together, my two loves. And she knew that I was European, Amy Heckling, and she wanted this to be different, because we were creating something that was on the page of the script that didn't exist in reality. When we went to scout the schools here in Los Angeles to look at where we're going to shoot, all the kids were wearing grunge. They were basically in the big baggy pants. It was Kurt Cobain was, very famous at the time. And we were creating a world that she invented, that was high end Beverly Hills girls dressing to school in, high fashion, buying stuff with their daddy's credit card. They will probably going to London fashion shows or to Paris. They could have anything really. So, my number one focus is the script. Who are these girls? What's happening? What is the journey? Like, for example, Thai character, she comes into school, she's kind of an ugly duckling, and then she's going to be mini Michele. So I have to think about that. Who is um, who is Cher? Who is Dion? How are they different? How do you make them authentic? Because one thing is to go to the runway shows and borrow some stuff and just throw it on the girls, but it really wouldn't feel real because they were 16. So I have to, my research was to go to fashion shows, see what's cool. Also, I think people don't realize that it takes about a year or longer for the movie to be made and then come out. They have to edit the movie, they have to put the music. So I also have to think, okay, what's going to be cool a year from now? And then
Yes.
also inventing a whole world that didn't exist. So this Beverly Hills High in Los Angeles was completely made up world. So the clothing, I had to find the clothing. It wasn't like now where you have PR firms and, people sending you boxes. Remember, this was no phones, no computers. This is really an analog world. So I was buying these big collectioni books, very expensive with the runway shows and, looking at stuff and seeing, okay, what can I find? So it really was like a very industrial kind of job. I have to, okay, I have a little bit, the budget wasn't big. So it was like, okay, what can I buy? Like, okay, I can buy the Jean Paul Gaultier suit. Maybe, I had to borrow the Alaya because I didn't have money for it, and then I have to go to thrift stores, but then I'll alter everything so it looks like couture. Then I have to go and buy the mall clothes and also find the pieces that will kind of tell the future in a way. So really construct a future, invent a, fashion world, like almost like I was creating a fashion line in a way.
Yes. And did you create any of the pieces from scratch, or were they all taken from, stores or
There was not
designers
really a
and
lot
just
of time.
altered?
There was not a lot of time. It was a contemporary film, so like on Enchanted, I would maybe have 6 months to prep. On something like this, it was about 2 months, which is not a lot. Thinking of how many
Okay.
costumes I have to prepare. Alicia Silverstone alone had 63 changes.
Oh gosh. Okay.
Dion, Amber, 45. And then I have to dress everybody in the film. All the extras had to be dressed head to toe
Mhm.
because they had to be part of that new world. So the people you
Yeah.
see in the cafeteria, in the quad, in the classrooms, they all had to be also outfitted. So there was a
Mhm.
lot of clothes to source. So there wasn't a lot of time to make things. I did make one special thing, which was the jacket that Cher wears with her Christmas Alaya dress. So there was a Moname
Oh,
original with a matching purse. It was like a red jacquard, beautiful peplum jacket with the feather boa trim
mhm.
as a collar. So that was really fun. But everything was altered, everything was touched, so everything fitted perfectly the girls. Because I think when you think of couture, of something really high end, it fits you perfectly.
Yes.
And I think that was also like one of the signatures of the film. For kids don't dress like that. They don't dress in
No.
perfectly fitted clothes, and also the color palette was so important. Amy wanted to have a very bright California color palette. We were shooting outside with a lot of green and flowers. So what's interesting, um, like as a costume designer, I also don't arbitrarily just pick an outfit and put it on an actor. Like the yellow Jean Paul Gaultier suit. It's a whole process because you have to think of the script. Okay, it's the first day of school. Cher is the number one queen of the school. We meet her outside. It's in the quads, a lot of green, a lot of people crossing. It had to be something fabulous. And then you think, okay, school, high school, first day. Okay, maybe what normally people wear would be a high school, like a girl, Catholic schoolgirl uniform, so it's a plaid skirt with a sweater vest and a white shirt. But then how do you reinvent that? What would Cher do? Well, Cher would
Yeah.
maybe wear a plaid suit, right? So that's kind of my creative process goes. And then I go from there, um, and start shopping and looking, okay, what kind of plaid suits out there. So I found a blue one, which was really beautiful. I thought, oh, it's going to look so pretty on Alicia with the blonde hair. Then I found a red one, which was really kind of fun. And then on the corner of my eye, I saw the yellow one, hanging in the Saks Fifth Avenue. I was like, okay, this is expensive, but this is really cool. Yellow is maybe not a perfect color for blondes, but it's so pretty. It's so vibrant. So here we are in a fitting. Here strolls Alicia Silverstone with her dogs. She's already like an activist saving the world and animals. She walks in her sweatpants. We start trying the clothes. Amy Heckling is there. We tried the blue one, and it's beautiful, but it doesn't give this power.
Hmm.
We tried the red one, and Amy immediately is like, okay, this is way too Christmassy. We gotta save all the red stuff for Christmas time. And then we tried the yellow, and it was amazing. When Alicia put it on, number one, it fit her perfectly. It looked great with her skin tone and the hair color, and it had that yellow sunshine feeling. She was the queen bee, and it was perfect.
No.
So, it's really interesting how you have to really come to these decisions. What outfit is it going to be? Through all of this, where with the characters in that moment of the script, when you think of later, when you see Cher being depressed, when she doesn't passes her driving exam, you see her in kind of like a chiffon blouse in a gray outfit, so it's a different mood completely. The clothes are not as fitted and perfectly tailored as more kind of wrinkly fabric, because emotionally she's in a different place. So as a costume designer, that's what we do. We really, we tell the story of the characters and their emotional state through the costume. So you can look at an actor and they don't have to say a line, and who they are, what they feel. Are they depressed? Are they
Yeah.
happy? Where they are from socioeconomical place. Are they rich? Are they poor? All of
Hmm.
that in seconds.
The yellow, I mean, that was the perfect choice, really, because that is the most iconic outfit from the movie. It is just, it's just become a timeless piece. I mean, everybody loves it. People dress up for Halloween when they want to dress up in it. I mean, it's just become just incredible, really. And I think everybody wants that outfit. And actually, with the costumes, once the film wrapped, what happened with the all the costumes? Did anyone actually get to take anything with them? Did you actually have anything from the set, or were they given kind of to like a museum to keep, preserve?
Well, I wish that was given to a museum, because we unfortunately lost all the clothes. The
Oh,
Alicia Silverstone took some of the clothes with her, and I think she disposed of them because she didn't feel like she's gonna ever wear them, which is very
oh,
sad. So
that's so
unfortunately, also
sad.
30 years ago, that's a long time for things to kind of even not fall apart. So it's really really
Mm,
sad. But the good thing is the yellow plaid lives, and my book cover is a yellow plaid. So
okay, well
we get to
that's
celebrate,
wonderful.
continue
Yes,
to
keeping the
celebrate.
memory of it
Yes,
alive.
yes,
Yes,
yes, yes, yes.
absolutely. But that is such a shame because
I know, it's
obviously
such
with
a
a lot of
shame, believe me.
with a lot of films and TV series, sometimes they take the clothes and they sell them, and and so it's such a shame that these outfits weren't at least like fans could purchase them, or
No,
just
preserved.
kept by
Yes,
actors. But
yes,
yes,
yes. Because,
because
like,
I mean they
Jessica, Sex in the City, I think she has kept all the costumes. She has like a warehouse, so it's wonderful. They have
are. Oh
all the
my,
pieces, and
wow.
pretty amazing. Yeah. Um,
Yes, that's incredible. My gosh, Sex and the City that's a lot of outfits. That's a lot of shoes as well,
yes.
particularly for character. The shoes, that's a lot of shoes.
Yes, yes.
That's an incredible wardrobe to have, my God. But that is yes, that is such a shame to hear. But they live on in our memories, and obviously you bring them to life again in your book. So that's absolutely amazing.
Yes.
And with Dion and Ty's style. How did you separate them from Cher's while, obviously making them all incredible and unique?
Well, again, I think, my blueprint is always the script. So I read the script, I read who these girls are on a page, and then I try to, take that clues from the director, from the writer, and figure out how I can express that with costume, with clothes. So we knew
Hmm.
that, Dion's character was much more experienced, even with boys, and she was sassy,
Yeah.
and she was a African American actress, with a beautiful skin tone. So I knew I could pop up the color on her. So in the fittings, we really, and also, interestingly enough, actors bring a lot to the character. When they step into my fitting room, it is like a laboratory. It is them, their idea of the character, their body, and then our idea, what we imagined and what I imagined with the director for the character. But really, that's where everything kind of jives and comes out, because you can think of stuff and it may not really look well on the actress. Maybe she doesn't have the great legs to show a mini skirt. But what was great about Stacey Dash, she lived in New York. She was a little older. She was punk rock. She knew about fashion. When she walked into the room, she knew what she wanted anyway. She's like, "Okay, Mona, let's do it." And I brought like really fantastic pieces, like vinyl skirts, which were kind of rave skirts. We had a lot of vintage stuff for her, like the leopard jacket. A lot of brighter colors, which looked so beautiful in her. The fuchsia, the lime green. Um, we were able to kind of push envelope with her with the textures and kind of make her much more sassy than Cher. Cher was much more conservative, a little bit preppy, very tailored, almost prissy, you could say. She matched her shoes and their headbands, and she was always in control. As Dion was much more kind of fun in a way, and then you go to the Amber, the fashion victim, and we could go crazy, So we were like thinking of all the theme dressing, the sailor look. We had the PP Longstocking, all the army head to toe, kind of safari meets army. So that's really fun. And that's how you kind of can then differentiate the characters with the actor help in a way. Then Ty was a very interesting character because, as I said before, Brittany also was very cool. She was 17 at the time when we were shooting the movie, but she was very smart already. She was a great artist. She came into the fitting room and she said, "You know what, Mona, let's make sure that when we meet me in the film, the first time, I don't look great. So there's a lot of room to grow, so there's a lot of kind of contrast later when she's becoming Cher Mini Me. You kind of see that, but again, it's Cher Mini Me. So the way that she dresses, like Cher would go for Jean Paul Gaultier suit. Well, she doesn't have the money, so she goes to the mall and she gets the contempo casual or limited to version of it that maybe is not as tailored and perfectly fitting on her. So you're also seeing the different socioeconomic place that she's coming from, right? And then kind of the transformation of her being insecure at the party, when she's trying the overalls and kind of putting the shirt as a scarf, or ties it away. So you kind of like seeing this person figuring herself out. Who is she? And then she really kind of gets a hold of herself and figures out who she is, which is wonderful. It's this kind of authentic self in the end when you see her at Travis's skateboarding competition, and she's kind of like in a little, very sporty striped T-shirt. It's like a polo or it's a V-neck, with the pigtails, with kind of a baggy pants, with a skateboarding belt. So she figured herself out. She's not what she was in the beginning. She's not this
Yes.
Cher Mini Me. She got the blend and she learned about herself. And that's also so fun as a costume designer to create these stories, to show the arc of the character.
No, absolutely. It's a really lovely when you see kind of her journey and transformation through the film. I think also one of the things that is not talked about enough is the men's fashion as
Oh,
well,
I love the boy.
because you have oh, I'm so terrible. Is it Donald?
Donald
Donald?
Faison, yes. I mean,
Yes,
he's fun. And, he
yes,
had to look good because he's going with Dion. So he can't be shabby. And, his Kangol hats and his kind of matchy outfits, also colorful, bringing up the color.
yes.
But I loved also dressing Christian. He was one of my favorites because, it was very interesting. again, character wise, when we meet him, we can't tell that he's gay. We shouldn't know that.
No.
So how do
Mhm.
you dress a character that has to be a little bit flamboyant, has to dress well, because Cher would not be friends with him later, or Cher has very
Yeah.
sophisticated taste. So it was really interesting when our actor came in, and he looked so much like kind of James Dean, right? I mean, there's something
Mhm.
about him like kind of an old Hollywood movie star. So me and Emmy were like, okay, what if he wears like real 40s clothes? I mean,
Mhm.
let's go for this kind of really sexy white James Dean t-shirts, the Rat Pack. And I actually took vintage clothes, like, the pleated pants and the gabardine jackets from the era. And he wore like vintage stuff, which was great. And again, that worked too, because in the time in the 90s, people dressed like this. There's the rockabillys, there's like these groups that it wouldn't be
Yeah.
unusual for them to wear these clothes. So it fit.
Was so funny though, which made me laugh about Donald's look is just I think the pants when they just they're so low. I mean, it's just I think I recently I was watching there was like a little kind of behind the scenes clip of the fashion of Clueless I came across recently, and it's kind of behind the scenes on set, and you can kind of characters talking about their looks, and I don't think I ever really noticed until you saw a close up of how low his pants really were, and it's just so funny. And how did I have to ask how did they stay up?
It was a magic trick. It was a Donald's magic trick, truly. I don't even know how they stayed up. It was crazy. He always kind of, held it in the right way, but there was like the fun ode to the times, kind of to the grunge and stuff, which was really great. There were such fun boys to play, and Jeremy Sisto, who was kind of, the leader of the pack, and I love Travis's, Breckenmeyer clothes. He was the kind of the really interesting skateboarding character, but kind of also fashion vintage and suspenders, and not all the way like Spicoli, the character from Amy Heckling other movie, Fast Times at Ridgemont High, but somewhat resembled. So we wanted to make him really fresh and look, have cool t-shirts, graphic t-shirts, and his clothes were never really ironed and unkept, which was kind of,
Hmm.
he'll probably put it down on a heap in the room at night and just pick it up in the morning. So all of that, is very important when you creating the character. But yeah, I had a lot of fun with the boys, and then you have the cliques too, which was like, all the different cliques that live in high school. The preppies, the
Yeah.
the drama, the drama clique, and the nerds, the stoners. That was really fun, to do.
Yeah, I mean, because obviously, when you watch it, you focus on the main characters, but it's such a huge production, and there's so many people to dress. It's not just the main; it's
So many
all
people
the
to dress.
extras, all the students. I mean, it's a lot of thought into every piece.
Every piece, and it has to be the color palette. Like, you don't see a lot of black, you don't see a lot of brown, you don't see a lot of beige.
Yeah.
It's very, very controlled palette. I'm
Hmm.
kind of like the mother hen, always running around on set and making sure everything is else, and who's in front of the camera, and who's next to the principal actors. So yeah, it's really fun, I think, for the fans and moviegoers to see all the details, that just beyond just the main characters.
Absolutely, because yeah, I was gonna say I was actually gonna. You've answered my question, but I was actually gonna ask when you're filming, do you have to put people in certain places, kind of organize them, if you will,
Oh,
for the colors
oh,
and
girl,
everything
I am
just doing
there.
so.
I am there because
Mhm.
it's so fast filming something like this. We only film for about 2.5 months.
Wow,
You
very
change, when you have that many clothing changes, you change sometimes 4 or 5 times a day. So when there's a
mhm.
new outfit, I always have to be there and make sure the sleeves are rolled up the right way, the layering is the right way, everything fits, the jewelry,
Yes.
last minute, oh, maybe change the earrings, or too many necklaces or not enough necklaces. Like all of that is really, and then it's like go. So it's
And then
fun.
also when you have to if you have to, like, redo a take or anything, obviously I'm sure there's times where you have to readjust
Right, but
and
then I have the people that then, once the camera has rolled and the outfit is already uh, been shot in a way, then I have assistants who take care of it on the set. So then there's like a person on set who
Okay.
does continuity. Then there's
Mhm.
the girls in the truck who prep the next outfit, put it in the actor's trailer. So it's kind of like it's a conveyor belt. I'm kind of the chief, so I'm the visionary. I make sure everything is the way that we envisioned with Amy and the actors and the fittings. And then once it's kind of, I gave it away, it's on the screen, then my team takes care of it. Then they catalog
Oh,
it, then they have to clean it after the day is over, catalog it, which
mhm.
scene it was in. So if we go back to that scene on another day, they know that exactly what they were. They take Polaroids at the time. Now it's, our phone cameras, but, then we took Polaroids.
Yes. Polaroids are fun. I'm a big fan of
I
Polaroids.
love
I think
Polaroids.
they're just so cool. I love it. And I love when you get to see, you know, because obviously so many films, you take Polaroids, and it's great when you see you get to see them from a lot of films when they share, behind the scenes. And
Yes.
I love seeing those. They're just so much fun, and it's just so much fun getting a glimpse of that. I think it's fantastic. The technology is great, but there are just some
Right.
things that I feel we should keep.
Yes, yes, yes. I agree. I agree. I mean, nostalgia is cool. It's I think the movie also, when you look at it, it's like you yearn for the simpler times and kind of, the
Mhm.
beauty and the femininity of the girls and kind of that innocence that's a little bit gone from our lives. Everything is a little bit more oversexed and too much information and all that stuff.
Mhm.
So there's like a
No, I
respite
agree.
when you're watching. It's like, oh, I feel
Mhm.
good now.
Yes, no, I agree. I agree completely. And that's, also why I have my account, because I'm such a fan of, the, 80s, 90s, and
The
the
best.
golden age to the
Yes.
present. Well, actually, from the golden age to the early 2000s is kind of just the
Golden
period that
age.
I
I
really
agree. I
love,
agree. I agree. I agree. Golden age.
because
Yes.
it really does make you feel good when you go back and watch these things. It it doesn't, s- obviously there's some great films now
Of
and great
course. Of course.
television,
Of
but
course.
but you don't really get that same feeling as when you go back and watch these classics. It really is just a wave of just goodness. You just feel, it just makes you feel a very, very certain way. And it can't be done when you're, watching current things. It's just a special, special feeling. And that's why I love, um you know posting on my page all the retro throwbacks, because I know it also makes so many others feel good. They love
Yeah,
it.
they
It's
love
just
it.
it's
Kids
just so
love
much
it.
fun. It's good memories. It's good memories.
Yeah, and I think what's so cool about Clueless too, it's such a visceral feeling when people watch the movie and how they kind of, you know, had emotional attachment to the characters, like Cher or Dion, and like how they felt, what age they were and where. So when I'm meeting women now, it's so interesting talking, oh my God, and I was in seventh grade and I was this and I lived there and I really wanted the outfits. There was no Amazon.com to get it. You had to like search it and go to a store and, very, very cool. And, now the young people, 16, who are obviously were not even born when the movie came out, and their reactions, to it in a way, how inspired they are and how fun it is for them. So it's such a cool film that spans over generations, of fans.
Mhm.
Really interesting.
And I I love fashion today, but there is also, again, something very special about fashion from those times.
Oh my God.
It's just I and I'm a big fan as well. Growing up, I was a big fan of a TV series called Charmed,
Oh yes.
and the fashion on that show was fantastic, and I was really obsessed with it. And I used to actually purchase original pieces from the show, because they used to, after every season, they would be given to a store called It's a Wrap in Burbank,
Yes,
California.
yes, yes, yes.
And
Oh my
because they
God.
sell loads of costumes and clothes and props from films.
Right.
And I came across a collector who she
Oh
had
wow.
everything. I'm not even joking. Everything. She was very lucky. She would go down to the shop after every single. She developed a very good relationship with the store, and after every single season of the show was finished, she would go to the store and she would buy. I mean, everything. She had doubles like of the
Oh my
originals the
God.
actresses wore. She had the stunt doubles outfits. I mean, she had it was just it was incredible. When I found her, I was like, "Oh my God,
Wow.
you have everything. I want everything." What and poor thing, she she went through a lot with me because she was not particularly someone who wanted to sell the clothes because she herself would actually wear
Right,
them.
right, right.
And I was always like, "Oh my gosh, will you sell this? Will you sell that? I want this. I want." Poor thing, I badgered her. I
Oh
badgered
my
her back,
God, that's hilarious. That's
but she
hilarious.
but she did sell me quite a few pieces,
She was like,
and she was like, "Oh my God, leave me alone, please." But I'm not even. There's thousands of emails between the two of us.
seriously?
Thousands, not a joke. Thousands. But she was wonderful,
Oh,
and I
nice.
bought so much from her, and
Do you still
it
have
was
it?
it I so I really hate myself. I mean, so much. I have two pieces left. I had quite a bit more, and I deeply regret selling them. I really just wish I hadn't because at the time, because this was about 10 years ago. So at that time, some things were easier to get, not necessarily the clothes directly from the show, but you could find those pieces. You know, maybe if you looked on eBay or you
Right,
looked on
right,
certain
right,
sites,
right, right.
you could find certain pieces. But now they have become so hard to
Yeah,
find as
yeah.
time has
It's,
passed.
vintage is
I
very
think
hard. It's just, so much of
so
it's
so
gone too.
difficult. Absolutely. So I really, really regret. I have two gorgeous jackets left, which I will not sell because I know I'll regret it. But
Never, never, never.
I really regret selling them because they're just so many beautiful pieces, and yeah, it's a real shame. But it's yeah, the fashion from those times is just something incredible, and
I
I
miss it.
love me too. And there's so many things, there's so much. Some things do come back, trends change, and
Yes.
sometimes they do bring certain trends back. But one trend I was a really huge fan of was bell sleeves, which
Oh.
I was obsessed. I loved them so much growing up. I loved bell sleeves. They were so fantastic. My cousin had this beautiful purple top I remember to this day, and it had gorgeous big bell sleeves. And I remember just looking at her like, oh, I want that top so
Did
badly.
you get it?
And I did not, unfortunately. And the thing is, as obviously she got older, as everyone does, you give clothes to charity, you get rid
Right,
of clothes.
right,
Sometimes things get
right,
worn
right,
out.
right, right.
So, but I feel like so many people are lucky because a lot of people do keep their clothes from their teen years,
Oh
but
God. I mean,
it's
I
a
think
real
we
shame.
move too much. I don't know. It's not that easy.
Yeah. No, I think it is rare when people do have a lot of their wardrobe from their teen years.
Yeah, maybe
But
maybe it stayed at the mom's house or something, in the closet
yes,
still.
exactly. But I think it is a big regret for a lot of people that they don't keep, their older clothes. Like, my mum grew up in the 80s, and she loved I love 80s fashion. It's
Oh,
fantastic, and she loves it, and she has some pieces left growing up in the 80s, but she always says, "Oh, I regret, I should have kept this, I should have kept that." So it's sad, and you don't always get the luxury obviously
no,
to retain all these
no,
things, but it is something to regret because you're like, oh, you can't get those pieces back.
no,
Like you
no.
said, you can look online, but you cannot. It's
And
very
harder and
difficult to
harder.
find.
Yeah, like you said, it's harder and harder to find the stuff. Yeah. Oh, God.
Exactly.
Well, I will be looking for those pieces forever.
Yes, yes. And sometimes you're lucky and you do find one piece here or there, but it is not easy.
Yeah,
It really
yeah.
isn't. It's not. And do you have a particularly favorite piece from Clueless? Is there an outfit that you personally really
Oh,
love?
it's like asking a mom which child is the favorite. Um,
Yes.
I love the design that I did. I love the jacket that goes with the uh, Alaya dress. I like having Alaya
Mhm.
in the movie too. That was really fun having a very kind of French designers. There wasn't really, so exposed to American culture yet, and kind of
Mhm.
exposed them in a way in a movie, that
Yeah.
fans got to really learn who Alaya is. And, I
Mhm.
think the jacket is really feminine. It's something very timeless too. So I love it.
Mhm.
I mean, the yellow suit forever too, because it's like a signature, in a way. I mean, I could have yellow plaid on my grave, or a boa, which is also some kind of a signature in my movies.
Yeah.
Romy and Michelle, a lot of boas in that movie.
Mhm. Yes, yes, absolutely. The outfits from that film, my gosh, are also
Party time.
so,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
iconic. I
yeah.
mean, they're just bold and colorful and shiny and just
It
amazing.
was,
Just
yeah, it was so fun
amazing.
because, now I had grown-ups to dress. Clueless girls
Mhm.
were young, so I had to always kind of be very appropriate. They're the Mary Janes, and, nothing too low or
Yes.
too tight. And with those
Mhm.
party girls, and they were making their own costumes, clothes. They were like fashion designers themselves, in the
Yeah.
film. It really, like, I was unleashed.
And did you get to create a lot of the pieces
Yes, I get
yourself
to
for
create the
that film?
pieces, and, change
Oh.
pieces and layer pieces, chainmail over, like,
Mhm.
spandex and leather, and just do so much with these girls. And, use super
Yeah.
fun designers like Moschino, and,
Mhm.
I had a little bit more money on that film too, which was fun, and, like, again, creating the gym outfits, which is always super fun, having fun with that. They wore like the high
Yeah.
heel tennis shoes to the gym, which was really great. And the actors were so
Yes.
much fun too. They loved fashion, Lisa Kudrow and Mira Sorvino, and we just had the best time. They were like, "Yes, let's go, let's do it, let's go crazy."
Did they did they get much input into their looks?
Yes, again, I love working with actors in the fitting room. Who are they feeling? So we definitely kind of made the distinction between the two of them. Mira wanted her character to be more masculine, so there was always kind of like,
Mhm,
she was the smarter one in a way, and Lisa
mhm.
was much more the creative one. We always bedazzled her shoes, and there was lots more pink and, cherry jewelry. So we were able to kind of push the envelope with her, and again distinguish the girls, very much who they are as the characters, on the page of the script. So,
Mhm,
and, again, when they walk into my room, the fitting room, this is when everything kind of just starts jiving, and really
mhm.
you find the character, and it's a really wonderful moment when the actor is like, I'm in. I found her, because when
Yeah.
you start prepping the movie, those are the first things the actors do, is come to the fitting rooms. This is kind of the first
Mhm.
exposure, before they do any rehearsals. They come to us, in the process of finding the character is in our room, in our fitting room.
And what was the inspiration behind, the final look, the dresses when
Well,
they do the
it's
dance?
an interesting story. I
How
mean, it had to be something that they've made, right? Because that's
Mhm,
the point. They kind of like now exposing themselves. This is it. No more lies. This is who we are. We are the fashion girls from LA. We made these outfits, and I wanted something to be very simple. Kind of very iconic. Something that you can remember. There's a great story about this two looks, because I had something else designed for Lisa. It was more of a chiffon dress, kind of more softer. It was actually like hand painted, and a couple days before we were shooting the scene, Lisa came to me and said, "You know what Mira is wearing? I want to see what she's wearing." And, I showed her the blue dress, and she said, "I wonder if they should kind of be more similar. It's like coming back and uniting. Like, now we are, we separated, now we are together." And I was like, it's not an easy thing to maybe change something 2 days before you're shooting, and, reinvent another look. And I was like, okay, let me think about it. And I went to the drawing board, and I, came up with the pink dress, which is the same exact A-line shape, the empire waist, out of a spandex. Now it's the pink, shiny kind of, very iridescent fabric for her, trimmed with the boa, pink boa at the end. And it really was the right way to go, because, now those two dresses are kind of, they best friends. They look alike. You know how sometimes you call each other, "What are you wearing?" "I'm wearing this."
mhm.
Okay. And it's so iconic that you see people on Halloween, dressing like Romy and Michelle. So it's amazing. Again, it's a very much process, and I know that your audience, I'm sure they are cinephiles, and, um, to understand how costume designers work. That it's not always
Mhm.
like, okay, this is what are we gonna do, and this is, we're gonna wear this. It really is a creative process, and that's what I like about
Yeah.
filmmaking. It really is collaborative process. You're working with the director of
Mhm.
photography, you're working with the production designer, the set decorator. Like, what is the couch color?
Mhm.
What is the vibe?
Yeah.
You're not alone in this process, and then you have actors, then you have the vision of the director, who really is kind of the chief of all, and they have
Mhm.
their final, say, kind of in everything. So I love that. I love. I'm not kind of like a painter at home doing, and think. I mean, when I'm doing these kind of dresses, that's why I can do whatever I want. It's fun.
Yeah.
Uh, but in the film, it really is very collaborative, and I love that. I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah. There's a yeah, it's I mean there's it's a huge there's a huge crew and cast and crew. So, there's a lot of people, probably a lot of stages to get through before you finally get to that final,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
we're all happy, this
yeah,
is it.
yeah, yeah, for
And
sure.
those dresses are just fantastic.
So
They
much fun.
really, really, I mean, all the looks in that film are just amazing. I mean, you're amazing at what you do. And I mean, oh
You know
gosh,
what? I have so
you
much
really
fun.
are.
I have so much fun. This is what it's all about. Fashion is fun. I
Yes,
want to
I'm.
inspire people
Mm,
to
it's-
wear color, to girls to be
mhm.
feminine, be authentic, have confidence. This is what it's all about
Mhm.
when I design. I really think about that stuff. How can I inspire, and somebody can take something from it and be happy and maybe decide to wear yellow. or
Yes, not an
or
easy
some
color to pull
bedazzled
off yellow.
shoes or more sparkle or more boas.
Mhm. Yes, no, because you really, really are just incredible what you do. You really, I'm sure you've heard it many times, but I mean, honestly, I say that, really and truly,
uh,
because, all these films, they just, the fashion is just fantastic. And
yes,
I love fashion so much. And whenever I watch a film, I immediately,
yes,
when
yes,
there's
yes.
incredible outfits, my eyes go to it. And I'm like, oh, I love that. I want that,
Or if it's
and
bad, you also like, oh my god, it's not good, it doesn't work, it doesn't fit, or it's wrong for the character. It can take you out of the story
ex-
too. Like, why is this teacher wearing Prada?
exactly. Exactly. And your films just have just amazing, amazing looks, really incredible.
Oh,
And
thank you.
one of my favorites is Never Been
Oh my
Kissed.
god,
That's one
oh
of
my
my
god,
favorite
oh my
films. One of
god.
my favorite films. It's fantastic. And the fashion is just wonderful. And again, that's another film where fashion is very important to, the story. It is, obviously you see Josie's transformation, from this kind of very plain, quite boring, not no sense of fashion, no style, nothing, to then this kind of very still not fashionable, a little bit trying to be fashionable, but
But the
not quite
misses the point a
grasping the
little bit.
concept.
Yes, yes, yes,
Exactly.
yes,
And then
yes.
you see her, when she gets popular, and then, they kind of guiding her, and then she's styled and looking great. And it's again, like, it's so important to the film, the fashion, and it's just amazing,
Thank you. It
amazing.
was
And
so fun to work with Drew Barrymore. She's really also comes into the fittings and his ideas, and really wants this physical comedy. With costume when she has the white boa that gets stuck in the car. Like that whole outfit where she goes first days to school. Um, and I love kind of when you look at the beginning, and kind of her dowdy outfit, kind of in the mauve color, and then the end when she's waiting for the kiss, and she's in this
Mhm.
beautiful um, chiffon dress that I designed for her, and it's completely she's herself. She's grown up. She's a girl. She's
Yeah.
owning who she is now. This is it,
Mhm.
and that's what's so beautiful. I think about my job as a costume designer that I love, that I can tell and help the character, create kind of that moment that you really know who they are,
Yeah.
what they transform to, or what they feeling and who they are.
Mhm.
It's really fun. I love that pink dress. It's one of my favorite, one of the top probably 10 favorite
Yeah.
things I designed. Um,
It's very beautiful, it's just very, I wouldn't say simple, but it's just very, it's nice, it's elegant, the shape, it's not over the top. It's a very beautiful, beautiful dress,
And it's
it's,
perfect for what
it's
it has to be, who she is in that moment,
exactly.
and it fits Drew well, it's like it's made
Yes.
for her body, for her shape. So all of
Mhm.
that, I think is I take under consideration, when I design.
No, absolutely. And then one dress as well in the film, which is, it's a very sad scene. Actually, it's a horrible scene, which I'm sure, sadly, a lot of people can relate to in high school, going through bullying, and that when she wears the prom
Oh
dress,
my God.
which how did, because that is, I mean, it was in the it was very 80s. It's a very 80, I mean,
You
it's
mean the
very
prom
80s
dress
style.
that she wears when she gets egged? Or
Yes,
okay,
yes,
okay, the flashback
yes,
dress. Oh my God. Yeah, we had
yes.
to make this
That's
so ridiculously weird. And the fabric
what is the fabric? Yes, I
the
was going to ask, what's the
fabric is
fabric?
like it's almost like a tablecloth fabric because it's waterproof. So because we knew that we had to egg her,
Oh, hmm.
so we didn't have time and money to make like 5 dresses. So it was like a wipeable fabric.
Oh, I see. That's clever.
I mean, seriously, I think Drew actually on her show, she has a TV show now, a talk show. I think they recreated the dress for some, I don't know, for some event or something. And it was so
Yes, I
funny.
think I've seen that. Yeah.
I mean, the puffy sleeves and just, it was
Mhm.
so like the bad 80s, truly like the bad 80s. But it worked, her with the braces and kind of the brown said hair, thinking that,
Mhm.
she's going to go to the prom. And it was so sad. But, again, as a costume designer, I have to think of all this stuff. Okay, now we don't have the money. What
Yes.
is going to be the fabric? It's
Mhm.
almost like an upholstery fabric. I can't even remember, something that you make, car seats or something,
Oh gosh.
seriously, because it had to be
Oh,
shiny. You wanted to really see
mhm.
something. It had to feel like she really tried hard, in her own way.
Yes.
And then this
Mhm.
situation of having to be able to wipe the eggs off, they were real eggs, poor Drew was hit
Yes.
by the eggs.
Do you,
But she's
do
game
you
for
know
that
how
kind of
many
stuff. Sorry.
do you know how many times that
Oh
scene
my,
had to be shot?
oh,
Do you
at
have any
least three
recollection?
times. At least 3 times.
Oh gosh,
Yeah,
poor
yeah. Because
thing. That
it's
is
the car
horrible.
coordinating everything. It's not that easy.
Mhm. Oh gosh, that's horrible. And I feel like also quite painful. Getting egged is not a I've never been egged before, but it's not a pleasant thing. It's
No.
quite painful getting
Yeah.
egged by
Yeah. I'm sure they had
someone.
like fake ones that broke easily, but
Mhm.
still not fun.
Yes. Oh gosh. But that dress was absolutely fantastic for the scene. I mean, it was great for her character, and it's just,
Yeah.
it's another very memorable piece,
Yes.
And it's such a sad scene as well. And
Breaks my
I think a
heart.
lot of people, that scene, I have shared it on my Instagram, that scene, and so many people, even though it's just a film, I think because a lot of people can relate to what she went through.
Right.
If you get bullied in school,
Right.
so
Right.
many
Right.
people
Right.
do.
Right.
So many people do get so angry at that scene because it's just so horrendous what happens to her, and people really do. They take it, they take it like it's real. The comments really just like, oh my gosh, it's horrendous. I mean, the comments do go crazy sometimes, and it's,
Well,
you
it's
can
part of the
understand it's
story.
difficult.
You have to. It's part of the story, so it's.
Exactly.
Don't get too mad. It is a film.
Exactly. It's not
It's
real.
not
Take
real,
comfort in the fact
but
it's not real.
yeah, yeah, it's great. And just Drew was great working with Drew. I've done so many movies with her and TV shows, and it's great. And I still work with Alicia Silverstone, and she's always texting me from set if I'm not doing the costumes. What do you think? Should I? Yes, no. So you develop these really
Oh,
great
that's so sweet.
relationships, long-lasting relationships, which is because then the actors
Yes, that's
trust you.
very
They
sweet.
know that you have their best interest in mind, and you're gonna have their back, make sure they always look great.
Yes, that's very sweet. That's really lovely. And it's nice that you do get to develop those
Yeah.
relationships, because I know a lot of people, obviously, you work with them and then that's kind of, for some people, that's kind of it. You work together and, so
Yes.
some people don't really keep in contact. So that's lovely that after all
Well, it's
these years, you're
Hollywood.
still
Everybody's
close.
super
You'll
busy. It's
see.
hard, but it's nice when it happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's so lovely. And do you have any exciting projects? And but obviously, besides your book, which is
The
extremely
book,
exciting, do you have
please,
anything else
everybody
coming?
make sure to get the book. It's coming out in October and it's available in pre-sale now already at Amazon and other
Yes.
booksellers internationally. So that's really, I'm so proud of that. And I just finished a movie with Catherine Hardwicke, the director who did the movie 13 and
Mhm.
Twilight, also
Oh,
Lords of Dogtown. So she's, prolific
mhm.
female director. And we did a movie called Street Smart about homeless kids, artsy homeless kids in Venice Beach, kind of about friendship and
Mm.
survivor and stuff. Beautiful, beautiful film. So that was really fun. And yeah, there's a couple things floating for the fall. We'll see what happens. I'm always excited to create. I did a movie last year that's going to come out, hopefully this year, called Control, with James
Mhm.
McAvoy and Julianne Moore. It's kind of like
Oh,
a
amazing.
action thriller, very interesting film with a German director. So that they putting it together right now. So yes, some things are. It's
Okay.
always doing something, and I have private clients, and I teach, and I mentor young girls and teach them how to sew as well. Like 12-year-olds, and it's really
Oh,
fun. I'm big on really giving back. That's really important.
yeah,
People
it's
love my
amazing.
work, and they respect me in a way, and I get to kind of help others. Young. I work with some
Yeah.
kids who are going from high school to college and prepare their college presentations, all different kind of stuff. I love it. It really gives me a lot of like satisfaction and pleasure.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah,
That is really
yeah,
incredible. It's very important to give back, absolutely.
yeah.
And finally, I'd like to ask you, do you think you would ever create your own line of clothing at some point?
Absolutely. If anybody is out there and want to invest, I'm available.
Oh my God. If you did, it would sell out
Oh, I think so. I
100%.
think so because I know I
No
know how to
question.
dress people and I know the colors and I'm
Mhm,
always on the I have a pulse on the fashion and but also kind of timeless stuff. That's why I think
mhm,
Coolest stood the test of time because the clothes are timeless. And I think that's what's important. I know how to dress women. And a lot of designers these days, I mean, all the high designers of the fashion houses are men these days.
mhm. It's very true. Very
It's a little
true.
bit of a different game. So yes, please find me on Instagram. It's Mona May,
Yes.
and let's talk.
Yes, please. Anyone out there, let's get because it would just be
So much fun.
unbelievable.
So much fun. I know.
Unbelievable. I would love to see
And
that.
then
I think
we can
I
go
mean,
to the
yeah, I would love
past, to the future, to the movies. We can just have so much fun.
yes, I would love to own one of your creations because you're just like I said, you're
Thank you.
fantastic.
Thank
So
you. Thank you.
people
Thank
out
you.
there, if anyone's out there, message her.
Yes.
Let's make this
Let's make
happen
this happen.
because it needs to happen. It needs to happen.
Let's delight the
You are
world.
what
Let's make
yeah.
feminine again, and fun.
Yes, you are what the industry needs. So
Thank
come
you.
on.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, thank you so, so much for taking the time to have a little chat with
Uh,
me. I really appreciate it. I
Absolutely.
mean, you're yourself an absolute icon. I think people are going to
Thank you.
love hearing your stories and
Thank
hearing
you.
all the fashion. I mean, like we said, Clueless is timeless
Yes.
and iconic.
Yes.
And you know, everyone loves the fashion and is obsessed with it. So
Thank you.
they're gonna love this.
Thank
They're
you.
gonna love your stories,
Thank you.
and they're gonna love your book
Oh,
when it comes out in
so
October.
excited.
Pre-order
Yes, please.
it.
Yes, please. And then, I'll
I
be
will
in
also
like
share the
bookstores
link.
in different cities so you can come and, get it signed by me. And you can always DM
Mhm.
me and I answer DMs and say hello. And I wish you all the best. And you're just a wonderful host. Thank you so much. And stay
Thank you
creative,
so much.
everybody.
Thank you
Mwah.
so much. Wish you all the best with your book
Thank you.
and your and everything and your projects, and hopefully I will get to speak to you again
I hope so.
soon.
I hope so too. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much.
Bye.
Bye.